AI Podcast.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into Malaysia. It's a place where eating is, well, it's basically a national sport.
It really is.
And in 2025, things got interesting. Their food scene just exploded with this phenomenon, so wild, so vibrant. People called it the Great Malaysian Food Hysteria.
Yeah, hysteria is a good word for it. It was a time when these food creations, they didn't just break the internet. For some people, they, let's just say they strained digestive systems too.
Right.
So our mission here in this deep dive is to unpack that. We want to pull out the key insights from, honestly, a whole stack of different sources.
Yeah, help you understand how these digital platforms like TikTok and Instagram completely flipped the script on Malaysian food, turned ordinary dishes into these huge, sometimes kind of unbelievable spectacles.
Exactly. And the insights we're sharing, they come from a pretty deep analysis. We're talking experts in social media gastronomy, digital food studies, even gastronomic futurism.
Gastronomic futurism.
Okay, yeah. And it's based on like real ethnographic work, looking at TikTok comments, Instagram analytics, and believe it or not, even emergency room visits.
Seriously, ER visits.
Yep. So this isn't just about taste. It's about getting properly informed with some genuinely surprising facts about what makes a whole country kind of lose its collective mind over food.
Okay, let's unpack it then. Where do we start?
Well, what's really striking is that 2025, it seems to be the absolute peak of what researchers are calling algorithmic gastronomy in Malaysia.
Algorithmic gastronomy. Explain that a bit.
It means it wasn't just people sharing food pics anymore. It was this whole food environment driven fundamentally by how the social media algorithms work. What gets pushed, what gets seen.
And that really highlighted something interesting, didn't it? How the look of the food, for the picture, for the video, that often became way more important than how it actually tasted.
Absolutely. You saw so many comments, so many reviews saying things like, better to look at than to eat.
So how did that work specifically in Malaysia? What made it tick there?
Well, it seemed like the more outrageous or visually shocking a dish was, the more likely it was to get picked up by the algorithms.
Ah, okay. So not just likes, but reactions.
Exactly. Awe, confusion, even disgust.
Yeah.
It all fueled engagement. It turned culinary discomfort, you could say, into this shared online event.
Yeah.
And it totally shook up who had influence. Suddenly, home cooks could start a massive trend just as easily as some celebrity chef. A recipe could go from nothing to everywhere overnight.
Wow.
It really says something about Malaysia's, I guess, collective willingness to jump on something new if it looks good in a 15-second clip.
So trying to study that, it sounds chaotic. Deliciously chaotic, maybe, but still.
Yeah.
How did the researchers even approach it?
They called their method modern digital archaeology, which I kind of love.
Okay.
They dug through, get this, over 50,000 Instagram posts.
50,000.
Yeah, and 30,000 TikTok videos.
Yep.
Plus, they did field work, actually going to 200 different food places.
Wow, that's dedication.
But here's the kicker. The team, they bravely consumed each viral food item at least 3 times.
Oh, no. 3 times each.
Each one, minimum.
And I have to ask, how did that dedication pan out?
Well, the official term in the research was research-induced indigestion.
Laugh slightly, I bet.
It was actually led to 2 hospitalizations.
You weren't kidding about the ER visit.
Nope. Both food-related, and one apparently was also dignity-related. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, noted.
But beyond, the physical challenges, they also track the life cycle of these trends. From when they first popped up to the inevitable backlash, they even came up with a name for it, the viral food mortality curve.
The viral food mortality curve. Love it. Okay, so it's one thing talking algorithms and research methods, but it really lands when you hear about the actual food.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of these, truly wild creations, the stuff that showed that audacity, that fusion power.
Right. First up, you absolutely have to talk about the durian bubble tea explosion.
Oh boy, durian.
Malaysia's most, let's say, divisive fruit. That incredibly pungent aroma mixed with Taiwan's bubble tea.
That doesn't just sound like a drink, it sounds like a challenge.
It basically was.
Yeah.
And it was catastrophically successful online. Videos of people trying it for the first time, that became its own whole genre.
I can imagine. What were the reactions like?
Everything from, pure joy, religious ecstasy, some called it, to what honestly looked like people having a genuine existential crisis right there on camera.
Wow.
Its status as a, wellness drink is debatable.
highly debatable, I think.
But apparently, its ability to clear your sinuses, undisputed. What's really key here is how it turned extreme reactions into viral gold. The crazier the experience, the more shares it got.
Makes sense. What else was big?
Then you had the nasi lemak croissants.
Ah, yes. The Franco-Malaysian mashup nobody knew they needed, or maybe didn't need.
Exactly. Nobody asked for it, but everyone Instagrammed was the line. Think about it. Buttery, flaky croissant pastry. Stuffed with coconut rice, that spicy sambal chili paste, and those little crispy anchovies. Yak on Billy's.
For breakfast, wow. That messes with your head a bit.
Totally challenged all the breakfast norms.
Yeah.
It really captured that trend of taking something artisanal like a croissant and just packing it with classic Malaysian flavors and hoping it worked.
And then there was the one that really split opinions, right? The pizza.
Oh, the Shendel pizza controversy.
Yeah.
Nothing, and I mean nothing, divided Malaysian social media quite like that in 2025.
Right. So for anyone who doesn't know, sendal is this amazing sweet dessert, shaved ice, coconut milk, palm sugar, those green jelly noodles.
Delicious, but on a pizza.
Yeah. So they used coconut milk as the sauce, pan-flavored cheese, red beans, just chaos.
Pure chaos is right. Critics were, let's say, horrified. But its Instagrammability, off the charts. Everyone had to post about it, even if they hated it.
Fascinating. Any others that stand out in this fusion category?
Definitely. Rendang ramen came out of a noodle shop in Penang. They called it an umami explosion.
Okay, rendang, that rich, spicy beef stew with ramen noodles, that actually sounds kind of good.
It was apparently amazing. Slow-cooked beef rendang, rich spicy broth, Japanese ramen. It showed how Malaysian flavors could really take over international formats.
Yeah, that feels like a confident move. Not just borrowing, but infusing. My personal theoretical favorite in this category has to be the Ted Tarik tiramisu.
Ah, yes, the comfort fusion.
Exactly. Taking Italian tiramisu, but instead of coffee, using Malaysian Ted Tarik, that frothy, pulled milk tea, layers of tea-soaked ladyfingers, condensed milk in the mascarpone, and then Milo powder on top.
Milo, yeah, the chocolate malt drink.
It sounds like something that would make Italian grandmothers weep, but maybe in a good way. Or a bad way, hard to tell.
Yeah, it definitely shows how creative you can get, remixing familiar tastes. Then there were laksa tacos.
Laksa in a taco. Okay, explain.
Literally putting Malaysian flavors onto the global stage, or, well, into a tortilla. So that spicy coconut curry, laksa broth, noodles, prawns, fish balls, all wrapped in a corn tortilla.
Huh. How did that go down?
Critics were pretty dismissive at first, like, this makes no sense. But on social media, people loved the novelty. They embraced it.
Seems to be a theme. But what about the most controversial one, the one that really got people arguing?
Ah, you must mean the bak kut teh cappuccino.
That's the one. So bak kut teh is a savory herbal pork rib soup, a breakfast staple for many.
And they turned into a frothy, coffee-like drink, complete with foam art.
Foam art on pork soup. The debate was wild, right? Was it breakfast in a cup, like a genius innovation?
Or was it, and I quote, evidence of the heat death of the universe?
Yeah, that sounds about right. It definitely pushed boundaries. Did it taste good?
Let's just say opinions remain fiercely divided on palatability. It delivered on protein, though.
I guess. Okay, one more in this crazy category.
Last one. Milo dinosaur sushi.
Milo. Sushi.
How? Japanese technique meets Malaysian and Australian tastes. Sushi rice, but sweetened with condensed milk.
Yeah.
Nori seaweed, but chocolate flavored. And then just a mountain of Milo powder on top.
Wow, that's
Oh.
a combination.
A fascinating blend, for sure.
So, okay, besides these wild fusions, there was another big trend, right? Taking classic Malaysian dishes and giving them a sort of digital age makeover.
Absolutely. Reimagining the classics. Take something as simple and beloved as Tatatokrik.
The pulled tea.
It didn't just get a minor update.
Yeah.
It became the Tatar cloud. They frothed the milk to this ridiculously airy, almost ethereal consistency.
Like a cloud in a glass.
Exactly. The visual appeal for Instagram and TikTok, unbeatable.
Mm.
It really speaks to that desire to make even everyday things look spectacular online.
Makes sense. What?
Then there was Karapak liqueur. Everything.
The fish crackers from Terengganu.
Yeah, Karapak liqueur, usually just a snack. But suddenly it was being put into everything. Pizza toppings, crushed onto ice cream sundaes.
Seriously, ice cream.
Oh, yeah. It was this really playful, almost defiant approach to food rules. Like, why not?
I kind of respect that, actually. And the rainbow nasi lemak layer cake, that one looked insane.
It did. Taking the national dish, nasi lemak, and turning it into this multicolored layered cake. Using natural colors like pandan for green, butterfly pea flower, bunga telang for blue, the red from the chili sample.
Visually stunning. Definitely aimed at Gen Z, you could tell.
Oh, for sure. The purists probably had a collective meltdown, but the pictures were everywhere.
And what about using new gadgets, like the air fryer trend?
That played a role too. Air fryer, roti canai crisps. People took leftover roti canai, that flaky flatbread, chopped it up, tossed it in the air fryer.
And got crispy chips.
Exactly. Seasoned with curry powder or even cinnamon sugar. Marketed as a guilt-free snacking option.
Guilt-free might be pushing it, but definitely creative use of leftovers.
Right. And speaking of trends, the matcha-dusted nasi lemak, giving the classic dish a 2025 green glow-up.
Matcha on nasi lemak, why?
Partly aesthetics, that trendy green color, but also tapping into that perceived health halo of matcha, blending tradition with what's fashionable.
Interesting. And what about traditional sweets? Did they get reimagined?
Oh yes, mini carrier bombs. Carrier are these yummy sweet potato donuts, usually glazed with gula melaka, palm sugar. They made them bite-sized.
Dangerously addictive, I bet.
Totally. Endlessly shareable online, easy to eat loads of them. It showed the lasting appeal of traditional Malay pastries, just repackaged. And similar idea with gelato chendol.
Ah, like the pizza, but maybe making more sense.
A bit more sense. Taking those classic chendol components, the green jellies, red beans, coconut milk, but serving them with artisanal gelato instead of shaved ice. Appeal to nostalgia, but also that desire for something more gourmet, more elevated.
It's really clear that looks and novelty were massive drivers. But you mentioned health earlier. There seems to be this weird tension, right? People wanting healthy stuff, but also going crazy for indulgent trends.
It's a huge paradox, the researchers noted.
Yeah.
Definitely a key finding. On one side, you absolutely had trends driven by health or ethics, like upcycled jackfruit pulled pork.
Right, using unripe jackfruit.
Yeah, shredding it, spicing it like pulled pork. It hit on sustainability, plant-based eating, and proved that, ethical food could also be really tasty and look great on Instagram.
And that bright blue flower trend?
Butterfly pea flower, everything. Its colors just so vivid, so naturally blue. Got put into drinks, desserts, even rice.
Why was it so popular, just the color?
Mostly the visual appeal, honestly,
Yeah.
but also because it had these perceived natural health benefits. It really highlighted how sometimes the main job of food in this era was just to be seen.
Food as performance art.
Kind of. And what's really fascinating is the fermented funk resurgence.
Fermented funk, tell me more.
We're talking traditional, often pungent, fermented Malaysian staples. Belacan, the shrimp paste, tempoyak, fermented durian, budu, fermented fish sauce, singkalak, fermented shrimp, tapai, fermented rice.
Stuff that maybe wasn't seen as cool before.
Exactly. But they suddenly gained viral status.
Yeah.
Why? Mostly because millennials and Gen Z started discovering their potential probiotic benefits.
Ah, the gut health trend.
Precisely. You had TikTok creators literally slathering Belacan on everything. Influencers talking up the probiotic cred of voodoo. It was wild.
And it's a big but.
Yeah.
Amidst all this health focus, there was still the other side, right? The pure indulgence.
Oh, absolutely. That's the irony. Researchers specifically pointed out that the Kromboloni and Kektapa Kuda craze signals a sweet tooth undeterred by Malaysia's obesity epidemic. Kromboloni being like a croissant bomboloni hybrid, and Kektapa Kuda, a rich roll cake.
So super sugary, super rich.
Exactly. A lot of the viral stuff prioritized novelty, that wow factor, way over actual nutrition. The analysis found many viral items packed, on average, 40% more calories than their traditional versions.
40%. Wow, it really was a tug of war between health and hype.
It really was. Which brings up a bigger question. Beyond the food itself, what was driving all this? What were the sort of psychological, economic, cultural forces at play?
Good question. Psychologically, you have to think about FOMO, right? Fear of missing out.
Huge factor. People were trying foods they probably wouldn't normally touch just because they saw everyone else posting about it. It wasn't just about eating. It was about being part of the conversation, part of the moment.
Yeah, you didn't want to be the only one who hadn't tried this sendol pizza, even if it sounded awful.
Exactly. And then there's what researchers called aesthetic consumption. This fundamental shift where food wasn't just designed to be eaten, but designed to be performed, to be photographed, filmed, shared. The look often battled with and sometimes beat the taste.
Performative consumption. That nails it.
And related to FOMO is the idea of collective experience. Trying these viral foods, even the questionable ones, became a way to bond. A shared cultural moment. You'd go with friends, you'd talk about it, you'd watch reaction videos online.
So food is still a social connector, just Amplified by social media.
In a new way, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if the food itself was weird, the experience of it was shared.
And economically. Did all this craziness actually move the needle?
Oh, massively. The estimate for 2025 was an extra RM 2.3 billion in food service revenue just from these viral trends.
2.3 billion ringgit. That's enormous.
It is. Small businesses, little stalls or cafes, if they caught onto a viral wave, some saw revenues jump by like 300%.
Wow. So hitting viral gold could literally change your business overnight.
Absolutely. And it led to this thing called pop-up permanence. Stalls that were meant to be temporary blew up so much they became permanent fixtures. It really challenged the old way of doing things.
And influencers must have played a huge role.
Huge. The rise of the food influencer was critical. Your social media reach directly impacted your business success or the success of the places you featured.
Okay, so psychology, economics. What about culture? What did all this fusion and reimagining mean for Malaysian identity?
That's super interesting. Some analysts are calling it a form of culinary nationalism.
Nationalism, how so?
Because these weren't just straight copies of global trends. They were distinctly Malaysian takes on things. Putting rendang and ramen or nasi lemak flavors in a croissant. It was like asserting Malaysian identity through global foods. Embracing the world, but on Malaysian terms.
So a sign of confidence?
Yeah, I think so. Confidence that Malaysian cuisine could adapt, innovate, and even influence global trends, not just be influenced by them.
That's a cool perspective. So looking forward, where does this leave Malaysian food? What did the researchers predict for, say, 2026 and beyond?
They saw a few potential directions. First, more sustainability integration. Future viral foods might need to have a stronger story around being eco-friendly, plant-based, ethically sourced.
Okay, that makes sense. Ticking the ethical box.
Second, health-conscious virality. The sweet spot might be finding foods that look amazing and are genuinely nutritious, combining the visual appeal with actual wellness benefits.
I'd vote for that.
Me too. Third, potentially a cultural authenticity backlash. Maybe a swing back towards celebrating traditional foods that go viral more organically, without the crazy fusion element. Authentically viral, they called it.
Interesting, like rediscovering hidden gems.
Exactly. And finally, more technology integration. Think color-changing ingredients activated by temperature, or maybe interactive dining experiences linked to your phone. That kind of thing.
Okay, the future is potentially weird, but interesting.
Definitely. But, we have to acknowledge the challenges in studying this stuff.
Of course. Like what?
Well, taste is just so subjective, right? What one person loves, another hates. That's hard to quantify.
Sure.
And the researchers themselves, they kind of humorously admitted their own diminishing enthusiasm for trying increasingly bizarre food combinations might have slightly skewed things later on.
I can't blame them. After the third Bach Kit Tech cappuccino, maybe your objectivity wavers.
You'd think so. And also, just the nature of social media, stuff disappears. They called it the Viral Food Archaeology Challenge, trying to document trends that might vanish from TikTok or Instagram feeds pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's like digging for digital fossils that degrade rapidly.
Pretty much. But overall, this whole 2025 Malaysian food scene, it's just this incredible snapshot of tradition meeting innovation, technology meeting psychology. It really shows Malaysia's unique cultural position.
Yeah, that confidence to experiment like crazy but still stay connected to the roots.
Exactly. There's this quote from the analysis that sums it up nicely. We are what we eat, they say. So naturally, all of us are a little weird because we've probably tried at least one of these food trends.
Chuckles. That's perfect. So the final question then. What does it all mean for the future? Where is Malaysian cuisine heading?
Well, the honest answer is, much like those viral foods themselves, it's probably something we can't quite imagine yet.
But
we'll definitely all want to try it when someone posts it on TikTok.
laughs. Probably true. Maybe Malaysia's greatest export isn't palm oil or electronics after all.
What is it then?
Maybe it's just that fearless willingness to put rendang on literally anything and just see what happens.
You know what? That's actually a beautiful thing to witness.
It really is.